Hello, and a huge warm welcome. My name is Lorraine Davies, and I am the host of this summit, The Expansion. Unleash your infinite potential and reclaim the power within. I am so delighted to introduce you to this gorgeous expert that I can have with us today. So before we get into the depths of a beautiful conversation, I'm just going to introduce her for you. So this is Abigail Mensa-Bonsu, and she's a highly regarded spiritual guide, mentor, an international best-selling author and publisher. And Abigail is a beacon of light, guiding women to embrace their divine essence and discover limitless possibilities within themselves. Oh my goodness, it is so delightful to have you here with us today. And I know before we even get into everything that we're going to cover today, I will give you a little heads up on what's coming later, everybody. Abigail is going to be sharing a beautiful practice with us. So you're going to want to hang right on to the end to be able to participate and to be activated by that practice. But what I'd love to know, Abigail, is how did you fall into the work that you do? Because you have so many aspects to your work, holistic coaching, energy healing, DNA activations. Obviously, you have a goddess mentorship, so many aspects. So I suppose, when was it that you knew that this was your soul's work?
Oh man. Well, first of all, hello, my love. It's so good to be part of this amazing summit, and it's so great to connect with you and collaborate with you. Seriously, you're amazing. So going back to the question, it's very interesting because this work is actually something that I did. I do it naturally. So at the beginning, it was something that I thought everybody knew how to do. Everybody knew about it. And it's very funny because that's a part of me that still continues now, where I have to be reminded, like, hey, not everybody knows about what you're talking. You need to teach that. I'm like, oh, so I thought everybody knew about this stuff. Everybody knew about spirituality, like connecting to your higher self, connecting you to your angels. Like I thought it was normal because it was normal for me. So like the people around me benefited because they would talk to me, they would get advice. Like that's who I always have. But it wasn't until grad school. I was in traditional Chinese medicine, like acupuncture master's program. And when we entered clinic, a lot of my classmates were asking, like at the end of the day, I'm way energized and they're like depleted. And so they would ask questions like, how come you're not depleted? What are you doing to prepare for clinic? What are you doing when you're working with your patients? And I would, I would start talking to them like, yeah, you create a bubble around you. You connect to above, below, and like I would teach them these tools. I would do like meditations and they would come and I would teach them, and it just kept spreading and spreading. And I remember the last trimester, so we were getting ready for graduation, and one of my classmates was like, you can charge for this stuff, right? And I was like, no, this is, like I'm gonna be graduating, I'm gonna be an acupuncturist. Like this is something I do for fun. I like, who's gonna pay me to do stuff like that? And I just, like subconsciously it's like, okay. And so after I graduated, my whole plan, I thought I was going to be, there's a whole journey to even get in there. The first part of the journey of, come into my own power, I thought I was going to be a doctor. So I was on the track for medical school. The same, thing happened where it's like, no, that's not where you're meant to go. And then I found myself in traditional Chinese medicine. And at the end, it was the same thing. And I fought it. Really, I was like, come on. You cannot tell me, guys, that you brought me here so that at the end you can tell me that you're not meant to be an acupuncturist. Like your path is still different from that, and so I had to humble myself. And it was also it was painful because I had to let go of what I thought I knew. I had to let go of what I thought I knew and embrace who I really am and what I'm here to contribute to humanity. So after grad school, after like I think I gave myself like a couple of months to like fight, fight my guides and source, like, dang it, that I was like, you know what? My classmates still want to work with me. At that point, they called it donation. They'll just give me money anyways, because I wouldn't charge for it. And I was like, well, they still want to see me. So one of my, well, she was actually an upperclassman, but she had graduated, she had her own office, and she's like, just take one of my office and come in and do your stuff. And I was like, okay. So I would go in like a couple of times a week, and people would come in and work with me, and I would do energy healing, I would do cord cutting, and as I did it, I was like, oh, huh, this feels really good, like getting paid for something that I'm really good at. And the best part was what happened in the lives of my clients after they left. Time and time again, like each client that came in and left, it's just mind-blowing what occurred within themselves and also in their world. And so I had to be like, okay, well, this is what I'm really good at. I love doing this stuff, and it is okay for me to get paid for my genius. It's funny because I just turned 40 last Thursday, and one of the mantras that came in is, it is okay to be paid for my genius. So you can see it's the same thread that weaves through in embracing all of me and be like, yes, I can be paid while having fun. It's okay to have fun and get paid too, It's like this programming that we keep in mind. So grad school is really the pivoting point where I stepped in, kicking and screaming, but I stepped in and went for it. And the more I did it, the easier it became. The more I recognized, like, oh, it's okay. People do need this. People do want this. They want to learn. They want to connect. They want to be in themselves and know more about their mystery and connect to the divine in their team and the angels. They want this, So yeah, that's a short story.
Oh my goodness. And I love it, because I keep seeing the beauty of, obviously, speaking to lots of incredible women, is that I'm seeing the threads. It's like seeing the kind of like the beautiful threads that are going through the stories. And when you shared about like kicking and screaming, like and kind of that resistance to following that soul path that you knew inside was the right piece of the jigsaw for you, but there was that resistance, that part that's connected to ego, which is like, no, but I'm studying this over here, this is what I should be doing. So I love that you shared that story. And also what I really value and you sharing is that you always had this knowing, really, that this is what you could do. This was your zone of genius. And I think the other piece that you touched on there was about being able to be paid for this. Right? Because I think there's going to be a lot of people watching this who are like, I want to expand, and part of the expansion piece for them might be abundance, right? Is more money. They go, well, I want to have more money, and they're learning to reframe around this, away from this 3D world version of money and the old hustle mentality of I need to do this and I need to work hard and I need to push and all of that. So actually, like, no, money is just energy. And the more we play and the more we have fun and the more we lean into what we're good at, the more we can be paid for that.
Yes.
And I love that you're sharing that as a message, because I see it so much come up in the spiritual world, is like, that idea of like healers who are broke.
Oh my gosh.
Right. They're just like, no, you can't pay me for this.
And even the healers or the intuitives, the spiritual mentors who are successful, they hit that resistance of, you shouldn't charge for your services because it's spiritual. And it's like, excuse me, it's very, so even if you step in your power, you still have to, it's an initiation, to be honest. It really is. First, you got to master your own energy, and then you got to expand that energy to see how it relates and plays with others, and you got to master that. But in that mastery, it's like you need to anchor fully in yourself, because when you know yourself, when you know what you're here to do, you're good at what you do, you're proud of yourself, you step out there in the world where there's so much chaos going on, and you're always going to be centered and anchored. Nothing can push you over. So you get a comment like that, you're like, well, I'm not your person. If if I know someone who would, I will send you to that person, but perhaps your right person will come to you and then you move on. But it requires you to be fully anchored in you, because otherwise you step in, and that's something I can talk about. It's very interesting. It's coming in. If you just, most people kind of start, especially when we're talking about money, they step outside of themselves first, trying to figure out the outer world, which is the hardest thing, because we have no control, no control whatsoever on the outer world. Because everything that you're connecting with has your own path and journey, and you have no control over. The only thing that you have control over is you. That's it. And when you know yourself and you are aligned in your truth and in your sovereign divine power energy, everything outside shifts. Like it just comes together to create the world that you want to experience. So it really, there's a reason why the main pillar in my business is know thyself, because really that's where magic begins. It begins with us. And we say it so much that I feel like it's been watered down, but it is the truth. When you know who you are, when you allow your mysteries to unlock, when you get to know yourself truly, nothing around you can shake you. Yeah.
I just want to feel it. I want to feel into that and just lean into that, because I think you're right. It is a message that can be watered down. It's also something that people hear with their logical mind, but they don't hear it. As in, they don't let it land with them. They're like, yes, okay, I need to be myself. Aha, you're telling me that's where I need to start. And it's like, yeah, but it's that letting that feeling land with you, and knowing what that means for you, how it actually feels to be deeply connected to yourself and who you are at a core level. And it's one of those things that the more you do it, the more you play in the inner world, the more time you spend with your soul, the more it becomes habitual and you know it. And when you're not aligned, it's like I get like I always think it's a bit like sirens.
Yes.
When I'm not aligned, it's like woo, and I feel so off. Everything feels so off that I go, I am so not aligned. Right. I need to go inside. I need to go inside. And I think the more you take that time to really connect in, the more you'll recognize that. So I know, obviously, when I kind of did your introduction, we talked a little bit about what you do. You do some really freaking awesome stuff. So you mentioned, obviously it's you perhaps started off with doing things like meditations and cord cutting, but I know when I reached out to you, I was like, she does goddess activations. Like, what is this? I want to know all about this. So, can you tell me a bit about that piece of your work?
Yes. So that part, my energy, if you step into my frequency, it is the goddess frequency. That is where my soul is from. That's where my soul is initiated. I walk with a group of goddesses who mentor me, the Sisterhood of Rose. And it's just, that's who I am. And activation is also what happens when something steps into my goddess energy. I activate you to whatever that next level is, whatever that expansion is, whatever you want to break through, like we activate you and push you through. So the energy is activation. How I knew this is, again, watching my clients, like not watching my client, but actually listening to them tell me, like, this is how I felt when you were doing this. This is how I felt when I came to your office. And the words activation came in a lot. And of course, the goddesses always show up. And the weird thing is that growing up, my two nicknames, it was Queen and Goddess. And I had no idea what a goddess meant. I mean, Queen, I do, because I come from a culture that has, kings and queens. So I knew that. But goddess, I had no freaking clue what it was. And it wasn't until we came to the US and I was like, interesting. Did they even know what goddess meant? My friends who were growing up, did they even know what that meant, or was that just a word they felt like connected to me? And I was like, oh my gosh. I remember going through my initiation in the mystery school, and that's how the gods and goddess council, because each of us have a council, soul council, let's put it that way, where we're from, and mine is the gods and goddess council. And when that came through, like, it was like a deep knowing. I just knew, because, for example, beloved Isis, I've been walking with her since baby. Like, she's always been with me. and even before I knew who she was, even before I knew that she was very powerful, very, very powerful goddess, and so it's always followed me. It just took me years to begin to put the picture together and be like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, that makes sense. So my frequency, goddess and activation. And in that, I break it down and it's like, yeah, I can do clearance. Yes, I can activate it. Yes, I can remove some stuff. There's so much I can do in that container because there's so much in there. It's huge energy.
Oh my God. I
Yeah.
love it. And I what I think is, and I know anybody who's come to play in your world at all and who has seen you on Instagram or anything like that, I know that the minute I came across you, it was this, I could feel your energy. And that's one of my gifts, is that I can
Yes.
feel others' energy. And I know I could have that instant moment where I'm like, hell yes. and it's really interesting for me because when you talk about, goddess Isis being with you from such a young age, I've definitely, and that idea that you said about pieces of the jigsaw kind of coming together, like, over time, bits of pieces have come together and it's kind of brought you to where you are now. And it's really interesting because for me, I first had my introduction to goddess Isis at, when I went through my separation and my divorce.
Yes.
And it was something I'd had, was not even on my radar, at all. And I just had these moments of things just dropping in
Yeah.
for me, right? It was like, I remember one day just walking to the beach, and I just heard, you're a light worker. And I was like, well, what is one of those when they're at home? Like, now I'm gonna have to go and Google it. Like, what is a light worker,
Yeah.
And then, and I remember having this moment where I just forgot Isis, and I just kept hearing it over and over and over and over again. And then I went into my local my local crystal shop, for want of a better name, and I remember going in there and just feeling some tumblers, and then I was like, I knew I was going in there for a deck of oracle cards, and I literally put my hand. I was like, I could feel the energy coming off the Isis oracle, and I was like, but it was those pieces of the jigsaw puzzle that kind of all came together. And I think, if for anyone watching this now, if you are felt called
Yes.
to the goddess energy, if it is a calling, it's your soul having a remembering, a recognition that
Yes.
this is a piece of your story. So it's something worth exploring.
Oh, since we're talking about goddesses, let's just dive in. Here's the thing, one of my gifts is that when I meet a woman, I can see which goddess, let's just say the goddess light that illuminates her. So that is her, because we're each connected to a certain goddess or goddesses, and it tells you a lot about your mission on this planet, your purpose here. So for example, mine is Joan of Arc and Mary Magdalene, and Isis is there too, but this is where the sisterhood of roses come from. They have the same frequency: Isis, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Joan of Arc, Kuan Yin, Green Tara, like they're all in there. And it's all about leadership, leadership through compassion, leadership through love, but it's all leadership. So this is the frequency, and it makes sense. Like now that I've stepped into my purpose and I'm still exploring, there's no end game here, my dears. It's a journey, right? It's like, yes, okay, that makes sense. So pay attention to the goddesses that you're drawn to. I think, especially in the spiritual realm, we tend to put the goddesses on pedestal, like, oh, you're up here, I can never reach you. And they're like, can you cut that shit out? Like, just stop it. We don't want to be up there. We're right here. We are you. One thing I love about the goddesses is that they used to be human women, just like us. And the way they became goddesses is that they mastered whatever that challenge was that they came to this planet to have, and then elevated into goddess status. And then from there, they're like, we're not going to abandon, humans. We're going to mentor them. So then they stay there so that they can just hold space for us and help guide us. They don't like being put here. They're not there. They're in our hearts. They're in our bodies. They're in our DNA. That's where they're found. And so when you connect to a goddess, I think the first part is like people feel like they need to be humble. Like I need to humble myself because this is divinity here. The energies, the frequencies are massive. And I get it. But you have to know this. Let me just put it this way. If you can sense a goddess, whoever that is, you are that goddess. Let me just break it down right now. If you can sense Mary Magdalene, guess what? You have that frequency within you. Now, it doesn't mean that you are like, with the ego, it's like, I am Mary. No, I'm not. I'm Abigail. But I hold that frequency because everything is a consciousness. I hold that frequency. I'm part of that bigger consciousness, that soul group that pours through me when I allow myself to open up to receive that wisdom so that I can use that in my purpose as a human woman right here in this time. This is why we're connected to them. So when you're like, I am really drawn to Mother Mary, like, first of all, if it, when we're talking about Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, step away from the church stuff and just truly get to know these goddesses. This is what I teach my clients. Put all the books aside, call the goddess in and say, tell me your story. Why are we connected? Why do I feel so connected to you? And they are more than happy to like pour it out and be like, yes, you're talking to me. Let's have this chat. They love it. And in this way, you get to know the version of the story that belongs to you. Because when you're reading other stuff, that is a whole, it's like for everybody. And you kind of have to find the parts of those stories that resonate with you. That's a lot of work. And so that's why I tell my clients, like, call them in, talk to them. The story that they tell you is the one that you need in this lifetime to move through whatever it is that you're here to learn, to create, whatever it is. And it's just so much easier because you get to know them firsthand instead of through someone else. Yeah. So the goddesses don't like pedestals. They don't care about pedestals. It annoys them. Let's just put it that way. They want you to know that they're within you. If you can see them, sense them, feel them, it's because they're already encoded within your DNA. So after this, go grab your notebook and start writing down the goddesses that have been calling you, and then start paying attention. They've been trying to get your attention for a long time, so yes.
Oh my God. I feel like that is so much juiciness in there. Like if we're going to like break it down for people, it's that noticing, if you've got that connection, if you are having goddesses drop in, ultimately there's a couple of things I really love to like draw out of
Yes.
that. The first thing is this, about not putting them on this pedestal and knowing your own like the way I see this is about knowing your own divinity.
Yes.
Like we are connected to everything. We are all one. And it's the ego that chooses to position people and to say they're better than me or they're not as good as me or whatever. So as soon as that comes in, that is never your higher self doing that positioning, right? So that's why the goddesses do it like, no, I'm not up here on a pedestal, because that's the ego that does that. That is not your higher self. So that makes so much radical sense to me. And the second piece, what I love there, is about disconnecting the external sources.
Yes.
Because ultimately, again, another beautiful theme throughout the summit so far is this like inner wisdom piece.
Yes.
Is knowing that the answers are always inside of you. Like it's something I talk about with my clients all the time. Like the seeds of greatness are already inside of you. You just have to choose to tap in. And I see this when you talk about the goddess, that like they're already in your DNA. It's about going inside, taking the time, creating the space to go inside and have those conversations and being open and just opening yourself up, opening your heart up, opening your awareness up, and being willing to receive everything that they want to tell you, that they want to share with you.
Yes. And speaking of DNA, we actually, in our spiritual DNA, so just as we have a physical DNA strand, we have a spiritual DNA strand. This is what scientists have called junk DNA for a long time, but it's changing because they're realizing it's not really junk. We just don't have the technology for it or understand it completely. That's the spiritual DNA. And just like the physical DNA has the codons, guess what? spiritual DNA also has the codons, but those codons are different. So for example, one of the codons is connected to the archangel that you are connected to. Another codon is connected to a master of light that you're connected to. So for example, the archangelic lineage that I'm connected to is Archangel Raphael, who's the archangel of healers, which makes sense, right?
Makes sense, right?
And
100%.
I'm still discovering her. Like what does that mean to be, you know, like in that frequency, working with the emerald green ray? Because there's so much to it than just healing. Healing is just, it's a massive word in terms of what it consists of. So another one, the master of light, which I already spoke about, the master of light lineage that I'm connected to is Mary Magdalene. So, you know, it's like this is encoded in our DNA. When you get a DNA activation, now again, not all DNA activations are, what am I looking for? Oh God, I can't even find the word for it. I don't want to say not real, but you gotta be discerning on who you get DNA activation from. You know, like the one that I practice, very few people do. This is what they did in the mystery schools from King Solomon time, like very old time, where normal people could not access. And then now we're able to access because we're ready for it. Before, there was the fear of, if everybody had access to it, what would happen? Like people would use the power wrongly. So you had to go through this initiation in the mystery school before you could even get those activation to wake you up to your divinity. And now humanity has reached a place, like I remember when my teacher was like, now go out there and activate as many people as you can. Like it was exciting. It was so freaking exciting because it's like, yes, we're here. We're ready to step into our divinity, get to know our divine self, and merge the divine with the human. It's not meant to be separate. They're one. But the church separated it. So now we're working our way to merging it and getting to explore what it means to be divinely human. Right. So DNA activation is a great place to start, where you actually go through the codons, and the 12 codons, each of those codons tell you spiritually where you're connected. And like Mary Magdalene and Archangel Raphael, they're all telling you about your purpose and also the frequency through which you operate on this planet. So you're getting to know yourself physically with the physical DNA, but if you want to get to know yourself spiritually, you go with the spiritual DNA activations. And here's the thing, that's just one tool. We are so blessed to have so many tools in this time and age to really explore ourselves. Gene keys, human design, astrology, numerology, all of these esoteric teachings used to be on lockdown. You had to go to a mystery school to go learn this. You had to be connected to a royal family or a rich family, someone with power, in order to even get into the mystery school. And now it's available to everyone. People take it for granted, but that's how you get to know yourself. It's powerful. Astrology tells you so much when you go beyond just your sun sign and you listen to your moon sign, your rising sign, and then you go to Venus. This is how I love. Mars, this is where my passion is. Mercury, this is how I communicate. It's painting everything that you are right there. And then you add in gene keys, and it's just like, oh my gosh, So we have the tools to help. The tools are there to help you know yourself. It is not hard like it used to be. All these esoteric teachers are coming now and becoming stronger because it's like, you're ready. Learn about who you are. This is how you can do it. These are some ways you can do it. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I love that, because it is this accessibility piece. So it then is just a choice, right? It's having that moment where you listen to your, this is one of my favorite things to do. So I am, you talked about human design. So I am a 1-3 profile in human design. And so I love to research and I love to learn.
Yes.
So I always fall down a rabbit hole. I'm like, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. But I get you get that beautiful moment, everybody watching this, there's 20 incredible experts, and you get to lean in and listen to your soul and listen to that inner guidance system and go, what's the next best step for me?
Yes.
And then you follow those threads. So when we're talking about that spiritual expansion and that getting to know yourself and know your soul purpose and all of this piece, it's about, you know, you've not suddenly got to try and do everything all in one. Like, I'm going to do everything, I'm going to learn everything.
That's overwhelming.
Right. And that's why then people then don't do it. It's about being
Yes.
able to lean in and listen, go, right, okay, what am I being drawn to? What am I being called to explore? And, you know, what next step can I take on that
Yes.
journey? So yeah, it's beautiful. And we are honestly so blessed to live in this time right now. You know, I've known it and I felt it for a long time, and I know everybody here who's here, right? We're all part of this awakening process. That's why you're here. because you know, we were called to guide and to lead the next level of the expansion, the next level of awakening. That's why this summit called in heart-led leaders and conscious women and, you know, and light workers, because ultimately we are the next level of leadership. But in order to be able to step into our potency and our potential as leaders, we have to be willing to do the groundwork, right? And to go inside and to listen and to explore and to, you know, do all of the aspects of this work. Oh my goodness. I feel like we could talk for absolutely ages.
I know.
Like, tell me more. So,
and you know, I wanted to speak a little bit about the leadership piece where, you know, we're talking about the groundwork. It is a journey. Even up to now, I still do my groundwork. You know, everything that I do is from that foundation. Once you have that foundation set, which is knowing who you are, knowing your divinity, everything else moves from there. Your soul already has a plan for you. Like, it's already set. Your soul is here to experience something. Whether you're aware of it or not, that's your choice, but it's here. And you can drop in and start to communicate with your higher self, with your soul. Like, okay, you know, like you said, for example, with the teachings, it's like, I'm a manifesting generator 5-1. And so the one piece we have in common. And the first time I heard it, I was like, that's not me. I'm not an investigator.
That's
and
your subconscious line.
And I was like, wait, I was doing neurographic arts and I was like, oh my gosh, I am. Because when I'm excited about something, I dive in. Like, I learn everything about it, you know, and then I come out and share, which is the 5 Ps. I teach about it, you know, and so you have to listen. Your soul will guide you to which of these you need to go to. Like, the other one is gene keys. I weave in and out. There are years that it's like, I can't get enough of it. I dive in and I'm just like, oh my God, this is crazy, right? This is so amazing. There's so much. And then there's some years it's like numerology. That's all I want. So your soul will lead you to where you need to go, what you need to experience to open the door to that next level for you. And all you got to do is say yes to your own soul, not to anybody else, your own soul callings, and just follow the step, one step at a time. It's not just jumping. And we hear this word quantum leap a lot. And so people feel like you have to do this huge jump or nothing. It's like, no. It's literally one step at a time, just little by little. That's where really the quantum leap happens. Every time you take that step, the next door opens up for you. That's all is needed. Make it simple on yourself.
Yeah, make it simple. And also, I think, you know, I love the term quantum leap, but what I think people don't misunderstand is that, you know, ultimately we know that anything in our outer world is always a reflection of our inner world. And actually, it's the baby steps in our inner world that create what appears to be a quantum leap in our outer world. So when we talk about, you know, manifesting that quantum leap, about, you know, like that next level you, I love your terms like next level you, like this feels like it's wow, like this massive explosion, this massive expansion. Actually, it all comes down to the little choices and the little decisions and every single baby step along the way, and just over time that it looks like. And I think that's why, you know, we talk about things like social media, and, you know, it's very easy to look at other people online and be like, oh my God, their business suddenly took off and it suddenly exploded. It's like, but you've seen the tip of the iceberg. You've not seen all the other stuff that's going on beneath the surface. And actually, that's the stuff that each individual decision, each individual listening to intuition, each individual taking the next step, that's compounded over time. that
Exactly.
that.
Think of it as dropping a pebble in a pond. You get that small ripple that as it gets towards the outer edge of the pond, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But it started with just a small ripple that grew. It's the same thing with the small steps that you're taking. It looks small, but the impact is massive, and the change that it creates in your life and the world within and around you is massive. So yeah, that's where really the work is. Do that inner work. Everything else will rearrange to support. Yeah.
And I think when you were just talking then, I think when you look at it like that, it takes away the overwhelm.
Yes.
Because that our humanness loves to overcomplicate things and to make it really difficult for ourselves. And actually, when you know that actually the only thing I need to focus on is the next best step for me, the next best step, it takes away the overwhelm, it takes away the pressure, and you can then lean into the joy and the play and the experience in the present moment of that piece of your journey.
Exactly. Anytime that I feel like something is complicated, I go back to the foundation. I go back to the basics as if I've never learned about it before, never heard about it before. Because when I complicate it, when I'm making it too stressful, I have forgotten about the simple step. And so I'll go back to the foundation and remind myself again, and then come back again. It doesn't matter how experienced you are, if you know how to come back to your foundation, your roots, and remember, you will always know how to return back to your truth. And it doesn't matter what is going on in the world, you will always find your place in yourself, which is the most important place to be. Yeah.
So powerful. Oh, so I know we as I said, we could talk for ages, but I would absolutely love, I know you have a beautiful practice you're going to share with us now. So I'm going to pass the reins over to you. I'm going to mute my microphone and I'm going to let you lead the next part of this session. Lovely lady.
Wonderful. So I'm going to take a drink of water. If you have a glass of water, go ahead and drink some, and also just have it next to you, because what I'm going to be bringing through is a light language transmission. For those of you who are not familiar with light language is, it's not a language that has alphabets or something that you can understand with the mind. Only the heart can understand it, can receive it and understand it. It's the language of the heart, is the language of the cosmos. I have this vision where we will all get to a place where we speak to each other in light language and we understand each other perfectly. And it's not a language like, okay, this means this word. No, it's a heart feeling. And that's where we're heading to. So light language is exactly that. You'll get in huge amounts of frequency, high level frequency. And I call it a zip drive. So even though you're all different receiving this, and you're hearing certain things together, what you're receiving is going to go to your higher self. Your higher self will choose what you need and integrate that within you. So I call it a zip drive. And even that is like, it is a zip drive. As you're moving through your life, it releases, like the next level release and the next level unlocks. And then, yeah, so it's like this beautiful, it's not like, oh my gosh, this is too much, it's going to crush my world. No, it's a flow. So simply, I ask you to step into your heart, open your heart. You don't need to know what I'm talking about, but feel it. See what you can feel. For some of you, you might just feel it. For some of you, you will begin to see images. You're like, interesting, right? Take notice of that. For some of you, you might smell something, or you might see colors, or you might hear something. Like, just be open to receive whatever comes through this. I can't even tell you the meaning of what was coming through. That's how big it is. It's so much bigger than me. I'm just a channel. So I ask that you just drop into your heart, and you can do that by just placing your hand on your heart and breathing into your body. That's the other thing about light language. Even though it's such a high frequency, it's not about leaving your body. We need that body to receive it. That is where it's landing. It's not you escaping into somewhere and your spirit already is activated. It does not need any of that stuff. It's your physical body that needs to be ascended, which means that it receives the high frequency, integrates it, and then moves to its next level. But it's your physical body. So stay here, stay in your body, stay in your heart, breathe, and drink your water. The water, water, we know it collects, it has the ability to or store higher frequency. So as you are listening to me and your water is next to you, your water will absorb that higher frequency. And when you're done, you drink it, which is another level of your body receiving those codes physically. Yeah, so it's beautiful. All right, I'm gonna drink my water. And just close your eyes, breathe into your heart, breathe into your body. And I'm just going to invite everyone's higher self to come in at this time. And you might see, sense, or feel him or her just drop into your heart. Your higher self always goes into your heart. You might, you might experience, however you experience your higher self is between you and you, you and yourself. I'm also going to call in the beautiful archangels of light and the beautiful angels of the highest light to come in and just break down any barriers that might prevent you from receiving this light transmission. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Of course, I'm going to call in the presence of the Divine Father, the Divine Mother. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Of course, the goddesses are here because I roll with them. And breathe and receive. At erak oro miak ta era noria shiak at era koro shitia mok oria shiarak at era kia doro moro shiti at era shirak at oria mea dori sitia rakara shurukoro no oro shitia ka alo Roshitia, Moria Shidia ak at oro ek erana, Moia shira, Mora au oro shiet era, Oro shidia, Mok oria, Mok e shiti, Are e sari ak ok otia, Moro shiata ak at oria, Sharaka e shiru oro mia kyata so, Noki shiria to oro shitia, Moro shitia ak oria, mat ea, mat aro os oria, mo oria shuru okietia, mo oria shitia, koro shiata ar as ar oria tia, moro shiatia ka shuru koa, tia rasoro oko, oru shiat ia, moro osiata kiara os era, moro oshiara, kat era kat oro shia, moro ia tiaka ashuro oro shia, o shu 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 shu, churqua etiata, moro shitia, moishia, kiatiaro, moro koro shitia, moro osiara. Ekiata toa, moshia katia, nor ok oish. I am now speaking to your hearts. Koria shitia katia, morio ko oko oshira. We're opening the doors to your inner heart. Kori shiti atiaraka oko shia, moria siaraka tiara koia. Taking a deep breath in. And out, horoshitia taria so oro. We're just kind of clearing anything that shouldn't be in your heart, anything that's blocking you, anything that feels heavy from your heart. Now, kuru ushiria moria shiarakia toro. Oro. Breathe. Toro soro oro shiaria giatia. Moro oshitia nosa akia toro. Woro ori shitia. Moria shatia kia o diara sati taro okia. We are now igniting or reigniting the flame of your divinity within your heart now. Kori shia, koro shitia, katia, noro ok at era saria ok oia, moria shitia, moro o at ia. We're now aligning you to divine above, divine mother below, and your own divinity through your higher self. We're aligning you to your own divine team that you came here with. activating that connection now, and also strengthening that connection now, rooting it down and integrate it on every level of your being. Tiara kusuro makaratia moria poria shitidio huru shu dur water shu ur ut eat iharu shura. Yeah, taking a deep breath in here, hold at the top and let go slowly. And now just be fully present in your body. I ask that this light transmission integrate, anchors, lock and seal on every level of your being. Your mental body, emotional body, physical body, and spiritual body. We ask that this anchor, lock, and seal on every levels of your being now. And anything in the way of it, we clear and create, delete now from all time, space, realities, and dimensions. Thank you, divine beings. Thank you for your love, for your guidance, for your assistance. Thank you. Thank you, higher self, for being fully here and helping us to integrate fully that which has been received. That is for the highest good of all. So be it, and so it is. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. This light transmission will continue. For some of you, you will feel this working for like 7 days. For some of you, it might be a month. For some of you, it might be more. So this is not like once you're done here, it's stopping. Your higher self knows it, and it will continue. And it will continue to be of highest service to you and support you.
Oh, that was so powerful and so beautiful. Thank you so much. I feel so grateful to be in your energy today and to be to share in that experience with you. And I know that the collective, that everybody who's watching this back will also share in that gratitude. So thank you.
It is my pleasure. Thank you for receiving. Yeah.
Receiving it all. So before we finish off for today, I would just love to ask if there are any kind of final messages that you would love to leave our audience with today.
Know thyself. Know yourself. Spend time, spend energy, invest in knowing yourself. That is where the true magic lies. The world around you like it's created through or from that place of who you are within. And if you don't know who you are within, the world around you is gonna be the same thing. So if you want something to change in your life, invest in the inner world. And if you're like, I don't even know where to start, just quiet down, breathe into your heart and ask, where do I begin? And watch what happens. And just follow one step at a time, keeping it simple. It does not have to be complicated. It's not complicated. We make it complicated. If you find yourself being overwhelmed, feeling stressed, you're like, okay, I am trying to make this something that is not. Return back into your heart, breathe into it, and then move from that place again. Yeah.
So beautiful and so powerful. Thank you. So obviously we have had such a beautiful gift of Abigail's company today. If you have watched this recording and thought, wow, I need to connect with this lady in the same way that I felt when I first met her. Abigail, what's the best way for people to come and play in your world? Where can they find you?
Yes, you can always go to my website because there you can find all my social media handles. So let's make it easy. moongoddessacademy.com. So you can just go there. And yeah, if you're on social media, just click on the social media that you're in and connect with me through there. Yeah.
That's fabulous. Thank you so, so much. So I just want to finish off by saying a huge thank you for your time, your energy, your light today. I feel so grateful for it. And as I say, I know that everybody else watching will have too. So thank you to those of you who have watched today. If you've got a few moments, I really would highly recommend that you take a few minutes just to let this energy settle in. If you've got a bit of time, that could just be as simple as just taking a few calming breaths, just staying in your body. It could be doing some earthing, getting those feet out in the grass, or taking a walk in nature. Whether it's something big or small, I just encourage you after that very powerful, potent practice just to stay connected. Try not to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of life. And I really look forward to sharing another incredible training with you really soon. Bye bye for now.